Hello, and thank you for watching this video. This is Mr. Bowman, the head sponsor of the History Club here at Amelia County High School. My co sponsor is Mr. Kraus. The two of us have been sponsoring this club for several years now. If you have any questions that this presentation does not answer, please feel free to email either one of us with those questions. So, let's begin. What's the purpose of the History Club? It gives students that have an interest or passion for history the opportunity to do several things that the classroom does not. For instance, we will go into a deeper conversation of different aspects or topics of history, looking from all perspectives without bias to try and understand those topics a little deeper. Uh, Here at the high school, we very rarely have opportunities for field trips. However, the History Club holds those as a luxury. We have had several trips in the past, obviously in person, but with the COVID-19 going on, it looks like a lot of our trips this year will be virtually. We did have one, and we'll talk about that later on in this PowerPoint, but we did have one last year, and I believe it was really successful, and the kids enjoyed it. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. It does give opportunity for investigation of genealogy, family history. It is a passion of mine. I've done that for my side, both sides of my family and my wife's family. I truly enjoy it, and I like to share that passion with members of the club and who are interested in finding out where they come from. And also, our club gives students the opportunity to be involved in the community. We've had several projects regarding community involvement, such as the genealogy project. We've had a time capsule project, which again we'll discuss here in a little bit. But involvement in the community kind of puts our school in a positive light when it comes to involving the community. So, how do you join the History Club? The first and foremost, you can email Mr. Kraus or myself, or if you are see us in the hallways, just come talk to us. Our classes are right beside each other. I'm in room 29, and Mr. Kraus is in room 28. So, you see us, just talk to us and ask us. We are asking this year for members to pay a due of $5 within the first month of joining. If you cannot pay the full $5 right away, just talk to us, and we can work with you if you want to make installments of some type. Again, just let us know. But these dues will be going to things, especially for if a virtual trip requires tickets to be purchased. I know a lot of places now that are offering their virtual trips are losing money, and so they are asking for for uh, for some type of payment in order to take a virtual tour. So again, all we're asking for is $5. We do have a Google Classroom, and you can join that as well. Here is the class code for that. So for those of you that are familiar with Google Classroom, you will go to the home page for Google Classroom. You're going to click the plus sign up in the top right corner, and then you can enter in the code to join the History Club Google Classroom. And what we're asking for our students to join who do have an interest in learning more about history and having an appreciation of history in general. This is not a let's go hang out and because my buddy's a member of the club, but it's definitely a student-driven club. And again, we ask that students that do have a passion for history to join. So what have we done? I've already mentioned a few things, and I became the head sponsor in 2012. And since then, we have visited places like Jamestown. Uh, we went to the actual landing site and explored that. Very different from the elementary field trip, where you have the fort and you walk inside the fort and you have the Indian village. So we went to the actual landing spot of Jamestown, which was a lot of fun. A little bit closer to home in Chesterfield, we visited Henricus Historical Park last year. I believe that was around November. A little rainy, but students had a good time. And we actually got to see one of our uh, former members of the History Club do a demonstration on um, making arrowheads. So that was a lot of fun seeing kind of like a full circle type of deal with a student now becoming the teacher. We visited what I like to call the diamond, the hidden jewel, not diamond, but the hidden jewel of Richmond called Agecroft Hall in downtown Richmond. It's right on the banks of the James River. Agecroft Hall is a 18th century Tudor home that was taken apart piece by piece in England and was shipped over here and reassembled. And it was a very interesting place. And we got to visit it during the Christmas season. So it was decorated in the 18th century England style. So that was a very interesting visit for that. We have visited the Virginia Holocaust Museum, which is in downtown Saco Bottom. We actually raised $150 for the museum here at the high school before we went, and so they were very appreciative and surprised that we were able to donate that. I was very happy and proud of our students for doing that. We also went a couple years ago to the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts to see the terracotta soldiers exhibit. These are ancient statues from China that were discovered in a burial tomb, and they were doing a exhibit tour, world tour, and they stopped here in Richmond for a little while, and we were able to go and see that. And for some students who've never been to the museum, um, we allowed the rest of them to visit the entire museum, not just that exhibit, but to see other things that museum offers. So it was a lot of fun. We had a good time that day. As I mentioned earlier, we did build a time capsule. It was the Wigand Crane time capsule, named after the two gentlemen that were the sponsors of the History Club before I became the head sponsor. We've put several items in there back in 2016, and we plan to reopen it in 2036, putting a 20-year time limit on that time capsule. So looking forward to that year, because that would be the year that I plan to retire. So I've got a little bit to go. In the past, we've used Ancestry.com. We were able to purchase a school membership, so students were able to access Ancestry through their Chromebooks. Unfortunately, the funds are no longer there for that type of purchase. But as I mentioned before, genealogy is a passion of mine, and there are free sites, free resources for anyone to do some investigation of their family genealogy, and I allow students to do those. We allow students to do those in our club. We also last year took a tour of Mount Vernon virtually, which is very interesting. We did that like in February, I think. So kind of appropriate there, but the students had a good time, and I think that's kind of the route we're going to be going in for the rest of this year. So, what are expectations of our members? Coach Kraus and I feel that not only the students, but we as sponsors also have to demonstrate the following. We have to attend meetings when possible. And if we can't, if students can't, please let us know. Email us, let us know in person, and what we will do, we'll set up a Google Meet so that you can still be a part um, of that meeting. When we start to have discussions or when we bring up questions about history, the idea of respect is extremely important because everybody has their own opinion, which is fine. But we need to make sure we have an understanding that there's a respect for others and their opinions. Kind of go hand in hand with that is the concept of agreeing to disagree. So you might not agree with somebody, but keep in mind that's okay because your opinion is just as important as theirs. When we do our trips, whether it is an in-person trip or a virtual trip, Coach Kraus and I still feel that our members are our ambassadors for ACHS, that we represent the high school no matter whether it's in person or virtual. So we expect our students to uphold the school expectations of the honor code and the student handbook, and be a good representative of the high school. Most importantly, to continue their passion and drive to investigate and learn about history. To us, that's kind of the core concept of the history club is to keep that drive, that passion, that fire for history alive. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this quote from Martin Luther King Jr. "We are not makers of history. We are made by history." Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions about the History Club or what we're about, please feel free to email us or email us at the beginning of the PowerPoint. So once again, thank you for watching. Stay safe.